This episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast is brought to you in part by No Judges Needed BJJ Apparel and Lavender Lane CBD products. You can use the promo code JJT for 20% off your first order at No Judges Needed, and the code JJ Times 20, all uppercase. Last two items are numerical for 20% off your first order of CBD products. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I am your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Kevin Gallagher, and once again, an incredibly special guest, moving and shaking and making big waves in the jiu-jitsu scene. Today we have for you recently promoted Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, founder of the BJJ promotion Subspectrum, now here promoting his new 3 Days of Peace Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Music Festival. Honestly, I think the first of its kind sort of event that I've ever heard of, Mr. Jordan Jitsu Peitzman. Mr. Peitzman, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
No, can't complain, man.
I'm
on vacation this week, so I'm enjoying myself out at the beach. You can see my little red sun tan / sunburn. Day 2.
I was taking a trip to Connecticut the other day for a barbecue, and I had like 6 cheeseburgers and 4 hot dogs and a lot of corn on the cob. So I'm just like, I'm thick boy right now. So I'm enjoying being like thick Kev right now. That's where I'm.
Can we take a second and just comment on the lack of facial hair on Kevin's face at the moment right now? It actually took me a second to kind of figure out what was different about you. I was looking at you, I'm thinking to myself, man, there's something's different with Kevin. Like he looks very boyish and like cherub-like. And I said, oh, wait a minute. And it's because he shaved his little
smooth.
I think I had a little bit of scruff. Jordan, when we first met on the grappling hour, shout out to Rafa Sparza. Go check him out. I was trying desperately to rock as much facial hair as I could, and I was repeatedly called a child by everyone else on the show.
and now that you actually look like a child, it's actually kind of I guess it's reaffirmed. I don't really know what the adjective I'm looking for at this point. It just is what it is, kid. I don't know.
All right, yeah. I'm young. I get it. All right, but we're not here talking about me. Thank God. We're here talking to you, Jordan. Now, there's a ton of stuff that we could go into, but let's just talk briefly about you and your background with jiu-jitsu. You recently got promoted to brown belt. Congratulations, sir. That's a massive accomplishment.
Thank you.
But how did you find your way to the art?
So like you said, my name's Jordan Peitzman. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt at No Coast Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Urbandale, Iowa. I teach the kids there. I teach adults. I help people sign up for the gym, get people in through the social media and everything like that. So that's obviously a big part of my life. But jiu-jitsu in general has been a big part of my life since about the time I turned 21. I wouldn't necessarily say I was a troubled youth, but there were a lot of really dumb shit that I did throughout my teenage and early 20s that I'm not necessarily proud about, but they're things that made me who I am today. And that's a big part of like my jiu-jitsu journey is just like all the mistakes, all the shortcomings, all of the failures, all of those have led me to the point where I am today. And I honestly wouldn't trade it for the world. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Real quick, what kind of hell was young Kevin Gallagher raising? Now that we're on the topic of misspent youth, because that's something I've always really wanted to get into.
God, let me tell you, man, my youth was about as misspent as you could possibly imagine. So I'm still kind of stuck in that misspent youth at 43. So I don't get as much trouble anymore. I'm not drinking as much, but
that's what got me in trouble as well.
Yes, absolutely, man. It's cool just speaking on that topic. Like there's not too many things better in the world to help you monitor that side of your life and keep you in line and keep those competitive urges under control than jiu-jitsu. Because I know a lot of fighters and a lot of guys that I know that train at a high level. Like the gene that makes you an outlaw is also the gene that kind of pulls you towards competing in MMA or competing in one-on-one combat. They're very similar intuitions. And in my mind, sometimes I think to myself, like, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be out knocking over gas stations. But when you start doing jiu-jitsu and you start training and you start getting involved with things, you learn real quickly, wow, this is cooler than going out and doing dumb shit where I could go to jail. And like, I can't drink, I can't do all the things that cloud my judgment, because if I do, I can't make it on the mats the next day because I feel like shit. So it's helped me a lot, and it helps tons of people. Like, your story is something we hear all over the place about how jiu-jitsu is saved people from the dark side.
Absolutely.
I would counter that in some ways jiu-jitsu is the dark side.
This is true.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I feel like Yoda when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I kind of feel like Palpatine. I'm shooting lightning. I'm making bad things happen.
We channel it in positive direction. The force is neither dark. What is it? The force is neither dark nor light, young Kevin.
Oh man, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. But
we should probably talk to Jordan though, huh? Because Jordan's.
I mean, Jordan. I think positivity is a great place to sort of shift the conversation to, because that seems to be the name of the game with this new initiative you started. 3 Days of Peace, Bjj Woodstock. How did you come up with that?
I mean, as far as like specifically coming up with the idea, just kind of came to me one day. But honestly, and I said this to you for the article, is I've kind of been preparing for a giant event my entire life. Like, I was a huge pro wrestling fan as a child, and I thought I thought my moment was going to be in the pro wrestling ring. And then I was hugely passionate about mixed martial arts, and I thought that my moment was going to be in the UFC. And it even, through jiu-jitsu, I thought my moment was going to be winning an ADCC championship. But now I've kind of reassessed my goals and where I want to go with things. And I've decided that I want to dedicate 100% of my time, or at least not 100%, but the largest majority of my time, to building a platform for helping out the lesser known grapplers of the world. I think the mainstream outlets focus very heavily on the top 5 to 10 names in the sport. Maybe 20, maybe it's more names than that. But I want to provide a platform through events and content production that shines light on all of the people in the community that I think deserve a little bit of shine.
That's cool, man. I'm familiar with your organization through Josh LeDuc. I've actually been in contact with you through Josh, I think, about being on 1 or 2 of your events in the past.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, I as someone that is, again, a second tier, I'd like to think of myself as maybe starting to climb that ladder, a little bit of notoriety. But anyway, but as someone that needs events like yours to be able to go out there and do what I love to do, I mean, I truly appreciate you for being, focused on it the same way I appreciate Josh too.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Of course. And thank you for saying that. Like another big part of our initiative is to, and, it's something I've been pushing a lot lately. And we even made a little design t-shirt out of it, is ACPC, which stands for Athlete-Centered Promotion and Capitalism. So I want to completely change the way and reinvent the way that my promotion works. And as much as possible, I actually want to take myself out of the equation so that the majority of the dollars coming from consumers go directly to the athletes. And then I will only charge for the services that we actually provide. And I want to create that customer to athlete interaction so that, it's not this antiquated promotional model where the promoter collects all the money. He gives a small percentage back to the fighters and then keeps the rest for themselves, or, to pay out or to pay for the events and everything like that. Like I said, I want to create as many avenues as possible for the money to go straight from consumer to athlete, and do everything we can to build athletes' brands, build up stars within our promotion, and not just 1 or 2 guys, and focusing specifically on that. And looks like Kevin just brought up our idea that we're going to be doing. So many people had reached out to me and wanted to donate to the cause. Within the first few days, I had like 8 to 10 people that wanted to give me $100, and I immediately had to kind of make a decision about what I was going to do with that money. Because I didn't want to just add it to our tally and then basically, that's money that I'm making on top of everything else at the end. I wanted to find a way to give it all back to the fighters. And what I came up with was an idea that Andrew Yang was talking about when he was running for president. It's
democracy dollars.
Democracy dollars. So just real quickly, like what that is, he was talking about if we gave every American citizen $100, virtual dollars, to donate to the political campaign of their choice, that would drown out the lobbyist cash that affects our laws and policies by a factor of 8 to 1. If everybody actually used their use it or lose it $100 every year, we would actually be able to have a voice as a people and drown out that lobbyist cash that affects our laws and policies so heavily. So I decided to kind of implement that into a way that we could give back to the jiu-jitsu fighters. So what I'm going to be doing is we're collecting donations through subspectrumbjj.com/donate. You can create a free Cash App, and it'll send us $5, and it sends you $5 when you create an account using our invite link on the webpage. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take 100% of those donations and divide them by the number of tickets that we're going to be selling to the show on Saturday night. And then each person who buys a ticket will have a virtual amount of money that they'll be able to grant to the fighter or the presenter of their choice. And then that's going to be just an extra check that is going directly from the consumers of our sport to the athletes without me touching a percentage of it.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm not going to lie. I love the sound of all that, but I don't know, and this could just be me being jaded. I don't know if I have it in me to trust a jiu-jitsu promotion CEO that doesn't want to scam everybody and become filthy rich. Like that doesn't jive in my head a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like it seems too good to be true.
No, I totally get it, and that's that's why I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna live up to every single word that I put out here, because unfortunately that's something that promoters have not done, and that's something throughout my first 3 years as a promoter I have paid every single person who I told that I was going to pay. I've paid every single crew members, photographers, everything, and in the process I have actually not made one single dollar as a promoter from Subspectrum. I've in fact put much of my own money into this promotion. Keith Krikorian has made more money from Subspectrum than I have through payouts. He's been a 4-time champion. I think he's got somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 worth of payouts through our promotion. And that's something that I'm committed to continue doing. If that's what it takes to put on good shows, to do the right thing, to pay fighters, to create these additional avenues for them to be able to make money within our promotion, I am perfectly fine with not making a single cent doing this, because it's something that I'm passionate about. And I believe that by doing that now, in the future, we'll be immensely more successful than if I was greedy and tried to take bits and pieces of everything along the way.
Yeah, man, I agree with that a lot, and I like your concept. I like your business model, because a lot of what I see in modern jiu-jitsu promotions, and again, they put on good shows. I mean, there's good shows. Fight to Win is a good show. Fight to Win is probably the best as far as making sure that it's not about the spectacle. It's about putting on quality event. And they've done it for a long time. And say what you want about Seth Daniels, he's done a good job, and I still think it's the best as far as consistency. But what I see a lot of the model for a lot of these new up and coming events is, they're more concerned about building the hoopla around the event instead of making sure that fighters are taken care of and making sure that they're putting on, quality people. And again, just like you said, it always rides around the same 15 or 20 people. And, the reality of it is, I just don't know. Like, as much as I want to believe that there's profitability in the jiu-jitsu, professional jiu-jitsu circuit, I just don't see a lot of it right now. If you continue down that avenue, you have to figure out how to make sure that people like you and me that are, jiu-jitsu dudes that have an opportunity to go out there and compete and are taken care of by it,
Yes.
because it ain't cheap, man. Like flying out to go out to Vegas. Luckily, I have a sponsor of mine that does private lessons. It's a pilot, so he pays for my flight. That's what gives me the opportunity to go out and do shit like that. But like, if you're a professional jiu-jitsu athlete and your name ain't Gordon Ryan or or whoever, like, you ain't paying your bills. That money's coming out of your pocket. So guys like you are awesome in that regard.
Yeah, and it's not like, again, I'm committed to a slow, steady growth that's sustainable over a period of time. I'm not going to go out there and try to sign Gordon Ryan to a $20,000 fight within the next year. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really think I would ever want him to be on my event. But I want to give money and opportunities. I want to give money and opportunities to grapplers who, one, are passionate and want to be a part of the events, and two, that are actually high-level athletes. And there's plenty of those here in the Midwest that I feel confident in promoting and putting a lot of steam behind, because when they do kind of get their name out there to the higher levels, I think that it's gonna bode well for both us and the promotion, or both the promotion and them as well.
Yeah, man, again, I have honestly, to tell you the truth, I have gotten to the point that I'm so, maybe I'm just jaded because I never broke through or whatever, but like maybe that's part of it. But I've gotten to the point where I'm so just over the egocentric world of professional jiu-jitsu anymore that like I just don't care to watch events anymore. I enjoy it because I enjoy jiu-jitsu and I enjoy to watch good jiu-jitsu being done. But you know, the idea of insta clicks on your Instagram page and all these other things is promoting factors, I think is just turning me away from what I believe the sport should be about, which is putting on good events that look out for their athletes and put the athletes first. Because I think the idea of, you know, creating superstars before you put on quality events is kind of putting the horse behind, or you know what I'm talking about, the horse before
Absolutely.
the horse. Like you got to get these homegrown talent and you market them. So now you're creating talent before you create the personality.
Absolutely. And that's like, I only want to promote athletes that I feel like aren't in that egocentric part of the jiu-jitsu, you know, like a lot of the names that we're putting out here, like Matt Layton, just a really quiet black belt from here in Iowa, but he was a brown belt world champion, like super high level. Jake Watson's going to be on the card. William Tackett's going to be on the card. Cody Steele's going to be on the card. Keith Krikorian, he's like I said, he's a 4-time champion in our promotion. That's a guy that I put a lot of steam behind, and hopefully I like to think that, you know, some of his notoriety has come from winning our events and doing well in the promotion that we've provided him. So, you know, our track record speaks for itself as far as promoting athletes that are on the right side of history right now, as far as their attitudes and their egos.
Actually, going back to this, by the way, I'm fully with Kevin. I think that Instagram clicks and social media can really go to your head. In fact, I host like live Q&As and stuff on my Instagram all the time, really going in against the machine. You can follow me on K-Brad's BJJ. I take down the machine from within. I'm taking down the machine from within though, so it's fine. So like you just follow me and like all my stuff and share it and like retweet it. I mean, yeah, no.
I as well have UncleCoachKevin.com if you happen to be in the area.
Yeah, if you want to follow a bunch of anarchists taking down the man from inside the machine, just follow us. Follow Jiu-Jitsu Times. No, but you put a lot of stock into homegrown talent, and you're placing this whole operation in Des Moines, Idaho. How is the local Iowa? Shit, I'm sorry. I am very. I drove my sister. I drove my sister to the airport at like 3 a.m. today, and I'm still not fully recovered from that. But how's the local jiu-jitsu scene reacted to this event?
Incredibly well. I mean, we've always had like a really, really strong following from the big gyms here. There's a couple big gyms out in Iowa City, a couple gyms here in Des Moines, and then just kind of scattered throughout the state. So we've always had like a really strong following from those people. We've always promoted people from those events. And once we announced this, I mean, the amount, you know, it's trending just so much higher than anything else we've ever done in the past. And I think it's because now I finally have the crew, the equipment, and the freedom to execute a lot of the ideas that I had for many years, but just didn't have all the tools to execute. And now we have those. So it's been really, really overwhelming almost with the amount of support that we've seen. Like I said, 8 to 10 people within the state tried to send me $100 within the first day that I announced the event and explained what it was all about. So I look for that to continue, and I look to put on a really cool event for the state of Iowa, the city of Des Moines, and the entire jiu-jitsu community. Because I think by bringing a lot of people to Des Moines, they're going to realize that this isn't just a small, primarily white city in the middle of Iowa. There's actually a lot of really interesting culture within the city, and that's something that's going to be on display, especially with the festival. You know, it's not just going to be a free roam festival of seminars, which will be, you know, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and judo, but there's also going to be local yoga, meditation, sports psychologists, hypnotists, just tons of different things that people are going to be able to tap into while they're at that festival. And that's where it's going to create that Bjj Woodstock vibe that we're looking for.
Now, I don't want to, this sounds really phenomenal. And I think that the culture, especially now, is definitely in need of a little bit of an injection of positivity. It sounds like there's a lot of good vibes. Unfortunately, many parts of the world, and especially the United States, are currently dealing with the outbreak of COVID. This event is set for towards the end of August. Do you have any concerns about organizing in the wake of the pandemic, or are you doing anything for that? Like, what's the protocol right now?
It's something we've been monitoring, and that's something we were monitoring before we ever even announced the event. Iowa is continuing to trend down. We never actually closed our state, really, for the most part. There was never a really serious outbreak. I think to date we maybe have, it's like 300 deaths total in the entire state, and most of those are actually out of a hospital in Iowa City that pulls people from actually 3 different states. It pulls people from Missouri and also from Illinois. So the cases here in Des Moines have stayed down, and we've basically reopened. We never really closed, but reopened the state, and it's been a solid 6 weeks now. We haven't seen any kind of spikes yet, so it's going to be something that we continue to monitor to make sure that it doesn't become an issue. But fortunately, we live in a place where it hasn't quite devastated our communities like it has in say Florida or New York or California.
Dang, that is so bizarre to hear of a state really handling the outbreak well. Like me and Kev are both on the East Coast, and we can tell you it is a shit show over here. Yeah,
and that's why I'm in a completely different perspective, as far as how I think about it, because I haven't been face to face with the real treacherous of it like you guys have.
Yeah, Kev, I'm right in Central Florida, and it's nuts out right here now. And we definitely have a big old red flag right over Tampa and the greater Central Florida area. But it seems to be, again, whatever. I'm going with the narrative that hopefully, if you're in decent shape and you're relatively healthy, that you don't have as much to be concerned about on the law of averages, statistically. Now, again, as the numbers start to rise, the numbers of people that go in ICU units and hospitals start to rise with it too. But I believe that it's normally people that are immunocompromised that are going to have the bigger problems that fall from it. I have about 3 people that I know personally that are dealing with COVID right now. And, they get super hot, they get a real bad fever and super, super achy for about a week or so. And then generally it just kind of goes away and they're back to their normal lives. But I am by no means a doctor, so that's just a narrative I'm making myself believe right now because I don't have a choice. So.
And with regard to the actual events, we will be taking temperatures of people as they come into the tournament. Everybody but the competitors themselves will be encouraged to wear masks. We'll have those available at the front door for anybody that decides that they would like to wear a mask. And as I said, it will be recommended heavily by us and our crew. I don't think we can technically require them for the event just based on the venue, but it'll be something that'll definitely be encouraged, because I do think that that's been one of the most, if we look at countries like South Korea and Japan, immediately they gave 50 million masks to all of their citizens, and they didn't shut anything down. They didn't go into lockdown, and they were able to keep the spikes from happening the way that they've happened here in America. So that's something that even in Iowa, right away when the pandemic hit, you saw everybody everywhere was wearing masks. People were really good about it. I will say they have gotten a little more lax now, but they I think overall our state's done a really good job of controlling the outbreak, and we'll continue to do everything we can to adhere to those regulations to make sure that our event isn't something that causes another spike in our city.
Hell yeah, that's definitely awesome to hear. Now shifting back towards positive, when I was talking to you a bit before writing one of those first stories that was all about Bjj Woodstock, you alluded to a history, a youth spent organizing like types of events like this. Could you go a bit more into your promotion experience that caused you to want to fuse your love of jiu-jitsu and your love of like more traditional like social gatherings like music festivals?
Yeah, absolutely. So like obviously I don't specifically remember a lot of this, but my mom tells me about like my 3rd or 4th birthday, like how I was like talking about who we should invite, what we should like, events that should be going on throughout the birthday party, like what time we should go outside for the pool. Like I was already like planning these things out hour by hour about how I wanted them to go down. And you fast forward to all of my future birthday parties. I lived out in the country. I had a trampoline. We had like a creek out back, so like we had a 4-wheeler. Like there's so many things, horses, hay rides, everything. So I was always coordinating these events within my birthday parties. So like I was always known as the kid who had the craziest birthday party and the craziest experiences for other kids to go have. And then you fast forward to high school and that evolves into having the craziest ragers, where I talked about in the article. We literally took every door off the hinges in my entire house so that we could have multiple beer pong tables going throughout the house. And then that evolved into event promoting for jiu-jitsu, which was about the most, aside from my childhood, the most positive direction that I've taken it thus far. And now I want to throw the best parties in grappling, and I think Bjj Woodstock is going to be just that.
I'm so sorry, but I'm stuck on imagining kids on 4x4s and horses racing each other into a creek, just like absolute pandemonium.
No, it wasn't quite that crazy, but
let's talk a little bit about the specifics of the event you're promoting in terms of like the venue you guys have, what kind of how long it's going to be, what kind of events you have scheduled.
Yeah, so I'll take you just through a quick run through, and then I'll talk about the venue at the end. But we're going to kick things off Friday night. Actually, I'll talk about the venue first, and then we'll get into the schedule. It makes just
I'm a king of asking like 15-part questions, brother. I apologize.
No problem at all. I'm prepared for all of these. So this is my life all day, every day. So the venue is an incredible renovation project here in Des Moines. It's an old junior high. It's a giant school that failed. The school failed sometime in the 70s. Church bought it. They built a 5,000 seat sanctuary off of it, and then in the 80s the church failed, and then it sat vacant for I think 2 or 3 decades. And then a millionaire came along, bought it for $2 million, built like a $2 million auditorium off of it, which is where we'll be doing the majority of our indoor events for it. It's a 600 seat auditorium with a giant stage. It's got like a 40 by 30 foot TV screen behind the stage where you can put up, anything, videos, a sponsorship banner, whatever it is. Yeah, there's the photo of it. 2 projectors on each side, and then, like I said, a 600 seat stadium. They also just installed 4 mounted cameras throughout the entire venue to give us different views of the stage, and those are all on these electronically controlled, like I don't know the words for them, but like gimbals that you can control all 4 of them from one screen with a set of joysticks. The guy that's going to be running that is my guy, Cosmic Mouse, as he likes to be called. He's a really incredible dude. He used to travel with Slipknot and organize their tours over in Europe and produce content for them as well. And now he works for us. So I couldn't be more blessed to have somebody like that on my team and leading our production on August 22nd and August 21st that we'll be having in that auditorium. But anyways, to get to the actual event itself, Friday night, August 21st, we'll kick things off with a weigh-ins, concert, open workout, all mashed into one. So we're going to have like a music act perform and then like 5 fighters weigh in, a music act perform, 5 fighters weigh in. And then we're going to have like an open workout section in the middle that'll be live streamed, kind of like the UFC does, where like the top, 3 or 4 matches on the card, those guys will come out and do like a, little, warm up routine and just kind of show things like that. Just more promotion for people to watch the night before the event and get hyped up for Saturday night's show. And then we'll finish it off with probably a couple more music acts at the end. So that's a free event for everybody to attend, the weigh-ins, concerts, and open workouts. And then Saturday morning, we're going to kick things off with kids, teens, adults, masters, gi and no gi round robin tournament. So that'll be available for everybody to attend and to compete in. That night, we'll do a pro show, which will be our showcase event, the Bjj Woodstock Showcase. Like I said, that's the card that's going to include Matt Layton, Jake Watson, William Tackett, Keith Gregorian, Cody Steele, a bunch more names left to announce on the the card. And then Sunday is going to be that free roam festival. So it's going to be a 6 to 8 hour day with a handful of jiu-jitsu seminars, wrestling seminars, judo seminars, and then demonstrations and classes in yoga, meditation, hypnotism, sports psychology, et cetera, et cetera. And then I believe there'll also be some music acts performing on Sunday as well.
Wow, man, that sounds like a pretty cool event, man. That's actually really awesome.
Yeah.
So, what have you been dealing with investors? Have you been working with anything to get things done? Have you been coming out of your pocket for this, or?
Some of this has been coming out of pocket, but we are working with some investors. Mouse, the guy that I was talking about, my camera guy, he works for part-time for a company that sells hot tubs, and they normally make a little bit over $1 million at the Iowa State Fair every year selling hot tubs. Well, the Iowa State Fair was canceled this year, and our event just so happens to be the weekend after the Iowa State Fair was set to take place.
Ooh.
So, he invests somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 into the Iowa State Fair so that he can make over $1 million. I don't expect him to invest anywhere near that amount of money at our event, but he is somebody that we're looking at. And then there's a handful of other people that have always had our backs in the past that'll be helping us out with making sure that first and foremost, that the fighters get taken care of. The fighters, artists, all the demonstrators and seminar hosts, everybody who's willfully doing the event will get taken care of. And then obviously I come last. I take care of all my people first.
Have you secured any talent for the event yet? Any bands or any acts or any guys to teach the seminars?
We have Josh LeDuc. He's going to be teaching a seminar on Sunday. Jake Watson's going to be teaching a seminar. Matt Layton will be teaching a seminar. And then we have a few spots left that I'm still waiting to confirm. But there should be 5 or 6 jiu-jitsu seminars that day. And then kind of to branch off of that, because I know people are probably wondering, how are you going to do a free event and put on seminars? These guys, I have to say thank you to all of them for taking a risk with us, because it is a risk, albeit I believe a very calculated risk, for them to basically accept that whatever they're going to make through this process that I'm about to explain is going to have to be enough for whatever they get for that event. And so it is a free event, which is we thought it would be much better than trying to charge like a one-day festival ticket of like $100, where we may have only gotten a couple hundred people. Now it's going to be a free event, and what we'll do is we'll staff each seminar and each booth with somebody who will be collecting donations via tip jars through their direct links to Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We'll have ways for them to follow them on social media directly, a bunch of QR codes, so they can just pop up their social media or their YouTube channels and subscribe to them right there. If they have DVDs available through BJJ Fanatics, we'll have somebody there with a laptop that'll be available. You can just type in your information and buy it right there. Again, giving as many opportunities for the cash to go directly from the hands of consumers and into the hands of the athletes. And right now, yes, that is a risk that those guys are taking, but I believe, again, it's a calculated risk, and I believe that the steam and the promotion that I'm going to put behind this event is going to allow them to be incredibly successful in that platform. That's
cool, man. Again, I'm very interested in the originality of the platform and the originality of the direction you're taking. It seems like you put a lot of thought in it, and just talking to you seem very passionate and very, 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 secure with your ability to be able to get it done, which are confident in your ability to get it done, which is refreshing, man.
Absolutely. And, I'm trying to have like the opposite mind of a promoter, which is, how can I put more money in my own pocket? Right. And I think that's kind of that's the philosophy that a lot of promoters live by. And I'm truly, truly, truly trying to find ways to put more money in the pockets of an athlete, because I believe that by doing that, we're going to build bigger stars within the sport. The sport itself will grow, and then my day will come. If as long as I take care of all my people and make sure that we're building people up in the process, there will be a day that'll come where I'll be able to be successful alongside those people. I want all of the athletes that do really well in our events to get rich before I do. And, I think that's already kind of been shown. That, like I said, I haven't made a single cent from Subspectrum. Keith Krikorian's made almost $5,000. So, it's like the biggest stars of our show. I want them to be successful before I am.
At the end of the parade, a single mustachioed man walks silently, knowing his day in the sun shall soon arrive. I love it. Yeah. With all the moving parts that are going on here, how long exactly have you been working out the plan for this event?
So we initially had an event planned for May 30th. It was supposed to be Subspectrum 9, just one of our another one of our numbered pro shows with an open tournament during the day. And COVID obviously kind of put an end to that. Our state wasn't completely shut down at that time, but we did have restrictions on the amount of people that could be in a venue. I think it was like less than 50%. So we wouldn't have been able to put on an event that would have made enough profit to do well. So we canceled the event. And throughout the quarantine time, I just took some time. I didn't have to think about planning an event. I didn't really have to think about training. I just had a lot of time to really just think about what I wanted to do and the direction I wanted to take myself, both professionally and personally. And that this was kind of the direction that I wanted to head. And I kind of forgot what was the question again?
Oh, I was just wondering how long has this? No worries. All details are great. I was wondering from inception to the planning to now, how long did it take for this idea to come to fruition?
Gotcha. So yeah, a lot of these ideas were ideas that we were already implementing, for the event that was planned for May 30th. And then when COVID hit, and I knew when we came back, I wanted it to be something special. I wanted it to be something that nobody in the jiu-jitsu community had ever seen. And I wanted to start coming up with new and innovative ways, again, to get the athletes paid that didn't involve me selling anything necessarily. Since March, really. And like I said, this is something that's been building my entire life. And I think this is like my coming out party. I really believe Bjj Woodstock is going to be one of the single most memorable weekends in the history of our sport. And I'm looking forward to being a part of that success along with the rest of the community, because it would, I'm the leader, the promoter, but none of this could happen without all of the people in the community that are sharing the posts, that are like enthusiastic about it, that are connecting me with people that are allowing me to do things that I never would have been able to do in the past. It just feels like the universe is flooding me with opportunities right now. And I'm just like trying to grab as many of them as I can as I go along. And these ideas just keep flooding to me as well. And I just want to implement as many of them as I can right away. And most of them don't require me to take a giant risk. It's actually other people that are taking a risk. So I very much appreciate all the people that are doing that.
Yeah, man. I love the grassroots approach to your concept, and it's something that's very refreshing to me to see in our modern world of jiu-jitsu competitions that just basically just kind of like making my mind explode sometimes. But it's important to start to have people that rather than deify the competitors, just have a true passion for the sport, and to put those people in the same room and give themselves an event like which Jiu-Jitsu Woodstock. Let's remember why we do this shit. It's not because we want to look at some famous athlete and follow him and hold on to his coattails. We actually just love this damn sport, and we're gonna go out there and be together and be a part of something. It's really cool, man. It's refreshing, and I hope for the best for you guys, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that I have been a competitor. I mean, I've competed at the Onnit Invitational, Boogie and Gio's Ultimate Mat Warriors. We've done, some shows in a lot of different states and a lot of different places. So I've seen what I do and don't like about promotions, what does and doesn't work. And I want to do something, like I said, I want to reinvent the game. I want to do something completely different than anybody else is doing, because I don't really see too many promotions out there that are working that well. So I think it's time for something fresh, something new. And I think that's what we provide.
Real quick, just a complete deviation. But whenever we have a promoter on, I always like to get their opinion on this. But how did it feel sitting watching the Substars fiasco unfold the way it did? As a guy who's really busting his ass, making sure he crosses his T's, dots his I's, everyone's getting paid. How did that series of unfortunate blunders hit you.
Let me make one little side joke just before we move on. You kind of look like the guy that runs that show. Like if he was
Fuck him.
Wait a minute. I turn off your mustache.
Like,
Did you turn that guy?
That dude, I'm Jordan Peitzman.
I live on a farm? What?
No, man,
but
that's something that like it genuinely upset me because I've worked so hard as a promoter to make sure that I'm doing the right things, that my fighters always get taken care of, that I would literally like take out a personal loan if I was like down to the week of the event and I didn't have enough to pay the fighters. So for there to be kind of like that backstep of trust between athlete and promoter, I can feel it a little bit now as I'm doing this event. There's people that are apprehensive. This event sounds really big. It sounds like it, is almost too good to be true. But the way we have it set up, I promise it is so sustainable. There's like, I don't want to say nothing could go wrong, but like we do have so many of our I's dotted, so many of our T's crossed, like so many good people involved with the event that are doing things that are providing like steam and promotion behind it, that I'm not even remotely worried about not being able to pay fighters or having any kind of fiasco, because what we're promising is reasonable and we always execute. Substars was doing something, I mean, what was it, like $250,000 worth of promised payouts? I mean, to do that without having the money to begin with is insane to me. So that was something that really upset me, and something that, like I said, I can feel it when I talk to fighters now. They're still a little apprehensive because of events like that and Metamoris and any other events that have kind of gone back on their words. So I just have to stay dedicated to continuing to do what I do to make sure that I always live up to my word, that I execute the things and follow through with the promises that I make. And I know over time that the entire community is going to trust me. It's not even just going to be a small portion of it. Everybody's going to trust me.
And what I've noticed a lot, because I've competed a lot too. I've done a bunch of competitions all over the place, and what I find with a lot of promoters is they have this, and you kind of get used to it because it's part of the game. They have this whole P.T. Barnum kind of over-promise, under-deliver, but hey, the show must go on, because you got to sell tickets, you got to promote things, you got to make things kind of happen. But when I see that again, I don't like that direction, just because I think it's good for the sport because it gets you clicks and it gets you people to tune in, but it's not a long-term goal. You know what I mean? It's not going to be good for the long run. It's a short-sighted philosophy. And talking to you, like there's a freaking, I don't know if it's your Midwestern sensibilities, but there's definitely an idea of reality. Obviously you want to make a big event. Obviously you want to sell the tickets and get things involved. But I've never got any kind of feel from you of, wow, this guy's just trying to sell me some snake oil. And believe me, I've dealt with a ton of promoters where it's just like, all right, dude, like, I'm gonna do your damn event. It's cool. You don't have to oversell this shit.
Yep.
Don't overhype it, because when I show up and it sucks, I'm gonna be pissed off just because you tried to talk shit to me. You follow what I'm talking about it.
Absolutely, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've almost, in the past, I was a little bit naive, and I was following the lead of other promoters. I was trying to do what they were doing, and I even caught myself in some of those same traps. And I'm really, really glad that I was able to pull myself out of it. And now I can't even imagine comparing myself to another promoter, because, my compilation of experiences has led me to this, and, their compilation of experiences led them to where they're at. And I don't need to do things the same way that they do them. I'm not even sure where I'm going with this, but yeah, that's just, yeah.
What are some of and again, just to play devil's advocate, you still got to market the damn thing. You still got to get out there, and you still got to build a buzz, and you still have to get things involved. What are some of the things you're going to be doing to continue to market for the event, to get people excited about it?
Of course. And we in the past, we've just kind of like released all the information at once. There are some insane new developments that are coming along with the event. And so it's just going to be a slow, staggered, like every week there's going to be something new, like, oh, that's going on at Bjj Woodstock now. And then a week after that, oh, another, it's going to be like this ladder that just keeps climbing leading up to the event. And that's why I can't release all of the information and all of the things that we have planned right now, is because that's part of the promotional strategy. And it's I'm scheduling out podcasts, so I'm doing you guys now. I'm going to do Open Guardcast next week, and I'm going to continue doing like a podcast and a show, as well as my own live streams and my own podcasts to build this thing up. I'm just going to do everything I can to get on all the major outlets and get this thing pushed out to as many people as we possibly can. And on the night of the show, when that live stream goes up on YouTube and Facebook, like I said, with the equipment we have and the crew that's running it, I believe you're going to see a higher level production than anything you have ever seen before. And that's not me trying to like shit on Flow. That's not me trying to shit on any other promotion, but you have, manned cameras that are subject to tripping over a cord or all of these things. We have 4 mounted cameras throughout that auditorium that are going to be controlled with joysticks, and I've played around with them. They're so smooth, and we're going to have all these abilities to put in like preset camera options where it like pans from left to right, or it's going to turn around and show you the crowd, and we're going to be able to switch to those at a moment's notice. Like I said, the guy that runs the venue installed over $75,000 worth of camera and switch gear equipment just to do events like ours and other events. And now I'm going to be helping him promote concerts within that same venue, and Mouse is going to be helping him produce live streams and video content as well. So that's something that I think, when that live stream goes up the night of the event, that's going to be shared so many times over, because first of all, the fact that there's no other really BJJ events going on at that time, there might be a fight to win that night or something like that. But it's going to be free
every weekend, though. And Seth always gets pissed off, so whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Input
already. Well, you got one every weekend, Seth. So sorry.
And it's going to be free. I believe that more people. I do believe that more people are going to watch this event than any other free live stream event that we've probably ever seen in jiu-jitsu.
How are you planning on streaming it on Facebook? You have any kind of?
It'll be through our Subspectrum Facebook, and then also through the Subspectrum YouTube channel, which is monetized now. So we'll be able to run ads for that and make a little bit of money there to help ourselves pay for the production and everything. But then also we have the YouTube Gold Chat in there. So, if people want to donate through that, they're more than welcome to. And I haven't exactly decided how I want to do that. If I want to like put up the link to the Subspectrum /donate so that we can get more money for that Democracy Dollars for Grapplers idea, or if we want to, push it to something else. But one way or another, we'll be streaming through Facebook and YouTube.
I gotta say something at the outset. Before I was ruthlessly suckered into this jiu-jitsu world by some very callous friends of mine, I was super deep into comic books. Like that was my whole life, bread and butter, like dawn to dusk. It's just like reading Wikipedia pages, rereading old back issues, and just like planning out really cringy cosplay that I won't get into now. But no, but for real, go into like, no, I'm not gonna, no. If you really want to, you can tear my Facebook apart and then make me feel bad with all the sad shit you find. But my whole life was, I swear to God, Kevin Gallagher, don't do it right now. But my whole life was really built around that environment, and I found there's a huge correlation between like nerds and guys that train, or guys and gals that train and practice jiu-jitsu. And events are fun, but a comic convention, like I would always go to this one in Connecticut every year, and that was like my mecca. That was where I would go to like just let the freak flag fly and just like be completely balls to the wall nerd. And I always felt like there was a room for that in jiu-jitsu, where like you could have this giant multimedia event with like panels where people at every level of status in the art, like hobbyists to the dyed in the dung, like guys like you that are like grinding for their black belt, to people that are maybe just interested in the spectacle and are window shopping, like that all could congregate and enjoy. Because you go to a comic convention, you'll find people at all ends of the spectrum of nerd. There are people that literally are just there because they thought it looked cool, and people that could tell you the number of hairs on Wolverine's head. You know, they all exist. And this is the first event that I've heard of that really has me excited as just like a former convention fan of just like going to meet and hang out. Because I've been to fights and I've been to jiu-jitsu events and they've been fun, but it's a lot of it's also felt like hurry up and wait. Like in between like hanging around and like getting food, you're there for the fighters and that's cool. But this has gotten me super excited just as a guy who's a fan of going to experience something and maybe like talk to people about it, where there's a bunch of different things happening. And I don't know if that was a conscious effort on your part, but this is an itch that needed to be scratched, man. I'm telling you. And the more I'm learning, the more excited I get.
Well, I really appreciate that, man, because that's something me and Mouse have talked about for years, is that we wanted to make it an entire weekend event where we brought in, not just the athletes and fans, but like families of all those peoples, because we're going to have so many things going on that there's going to be something for everybody to kind of branch off and do their own little thing. And that's something that will probably also integrate some of that festival atmosphere into the open tournament during the day. So like after the kids get done, I think we have plans to have like a caricature drawer artist there, so that they'll be able to go get their like picture drawn, or like different things like that that'll allow the kids to stay around the event and then to be part of the show at night as well, and not just be like, all right, you got your medal, get the hell out of here. That, like I said, that's something me and Mouse have tried to put together for a couple of years now, and now it just, the ideas are flooding, and the opportunities and the freedom and the equipment and the crew that we have is all coming together so nicely right now. And it's like I'm almost just like waiting for something to go wrong, because everything's been going right lately. But I'm really looking forward to putting on an event that'll allow people from so many different backgrounds. Like I don't even think that the crowd there, I mean, it will probably be primarily jiu-jitsu, but I think there's going to be a ton of non-practitioners that attend this event. One, because it's free, but also because we have so many other things going on with the concerts and the festival atmosphere and everything like that. So that's something I'm really excited for too, is to morph the Des Moines community, which is something that I'm really proud to be a part of, and then the jiu-jitsu community, which I'm also really proud to be a part of, and to bring all of those people under the same roof for one giant event that I believe, again, will be extremely memorable, especially when we execute all of the ideas that are planned out right now. It's hard for everybody to see my vision right now, because I've only released probably 10 to 15% of everything that's going to be going on with the event. So there's a lot of news yet to come, and a lot of news for everybody to be excited for. So definitely stay tuned for it.
I'm gonna grill you on that for a second, but real quick, at the outset, I would love to know if there's any evaluations at this point on potential crowd size. Like, what sort of audience size are you guys gearing up for? Just in terms, because I don't like the venue, like everything. Like, do you have a number in mind?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the day tournament, I plan to cap the registration at 200 competitors. So we'd be looking at 200 competitors. That usually translates to about double the spectators, which would be 400. We're going to have it separated out into two gyms so that we don't have everybody under one roof. It'll be spread out. There'll be basically 2 to 3 mats going in each gym to create a smaller crowd size. And then the show at night, like I said, it's about a 600 seat auditorium. I don't think we're going to have any problem selling that out. We may have to take out a few spots in there to create spaces between people and things like that. But then the festival on Sunday, it'll be outdoors. Again, like I said, masks are going to be recommended, or heavily recommended, or encouraged to be used. But that event, I truly believe, could draw anywhere from 800 to 1,200 people based on everything that we have going on that day, and the different communities that are going to be tapped into and that are going to be interested by the events that are going on.
That's cool, man. I'm real excited about this, dude. It's something new and fresh, and I think it's something that the jiu-jitsu community needs, man. And again, as someone that loves this sport like nothing else. I'm doing damn podcasts all day long. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's what I do, man. It's what I love. I'm trying to figure out a way to bang it out. Like I appreciate you for doing this, and I appreciate what you're trying to put on, man.
Of course, man. And if you're interested in competing, I'll talk to you. I can talk to Josh. I don't know if he
I'll give you my information. But when we click off, I'll talk to you for a few seconds.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
The only thing I would tell you again is just from what I would want for you to think of, and just some pitfalls that I may be able to give you some sage wisdom for, is to do your best to stay true to your vision as this thing starts to materialize, because you seem like they have a very good head on your shoulders, but the world of showbiz has a way of tempting you with false promises, and before you know it, it gets out of hand, and you're dealing with things that are here, and you're just like, what in the hell's going on? Well, let's just wing it and hope it works out. Like, do your best to stay true to yourself, kid, and I think you're going to be okay, man. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders.
I really appreciate that, and something that I will only work with people that I personally know or that I trust. I'm not gonna just let some random sponsor reach out to me and try to throw money at this thing. I'm working with the people in my community that have done right by me, and I'm gonna make sure that they are the people that receive the positive praise or the dividends in the future. I don't want this thing to get outside of my community. Of course, we want to build it, but as far as like doing business with and the people in our core group that are going to be executing this event, it's always going to be people that I've worked with since day one and that have always had my back, and that I know I can trust. So.
All right. Well, Jordan, you've given us a ton of awesome info, and we know you're an incredibly busy guy between putting this together, and you're also non-jiu-jitsu related, but really impressive work, just chronicling like the protests and the activity that's going on by you, and like this movement that's building, and from one journalist to another. It's really cool to see. I would be remiss if I did, and I know you got a ton of other appearances. I'm also a marketing guy. I fully understand how structured and segmented and scheduled like the drops of information have to be, so you keep audiences engaged. Is there any kind of exclusives you might be able to give the audience of the Jiu-Jitsu Times that might not be on the Instagram pages and the social media quite yet?
I'll give you guys one thing, and again, this is not something that has been cemented by any means, but I do believe that the community and the people that are watching this can help us make this happen. Are you guys familiar with Mac Lethal, the YouTube rapper?
Yeah.
So he's got a bunch of videos up of him rapping really fast. Well, he also happens to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt from Kansas City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is about 3 hours from here. So I'm in contact with the promoter who brought him in a couple months ago to perform in Des Moines. And I'm also in contact with all the people at his gym. So they're going to be in his ear talking. We're looking to get Mac Lethal to perform at Bjj Woodstock, whether it be Friday night as a concert or at the festival on Sunday. But other than that, there's a handful of matchups that we're getting ready to announce. That are, I've already mentioned the names here, but we'll mention the matchups specifically when we make those announcements. But Matt Layton, Jake Watson, William Tackett, Cody Steele, Keith Gregorian. These are all guys that are going to be a part of this event and have really high level and exciting matchups. So yeah, just stay tuned for all of that.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Oh man, this is really exciting. And I do have like a small piece of news to announce. It's probably of no consequence to anyone, but I will actually be attending BJJ Woodstock. You can see me walking around. Yeah, you'll see me walking around, probably rocking the Jiu-Jitsu Times shirt. I'll be there with some camera buddies of mine, going around with a microphone, trying to chronicle the event as a man on the street for the Jiu-Jitsu Times. So if you see me, stop by and say hi. I might have some like Jiu-Jitsu Times swag to throw at you, but we're gonna be looking to record some fun stuff. That's definitely for sure. It'll be really.
Now I got to figure out how to get out there. We'll talk for a second.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, let's go.
Road trip. No, but for real, the world is definitely at a turning point in a lot of important ways. All of us are getting to see a lot of really important changes possibly start to take shape, and it's really exciting. But it also it can really wear on you. So like this type of real positive event, it seems like just what the doctor ordered for a lot of us. And Jordan, thank you so much for putting in the elbow grease and making this thing happen, man. It's looking like it's going to be really fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin and Kevin. Appreciate you guys having me on the show for sure. And that'd be really cool to have both of you guys out there. So let's try to make that happen.
I don't know if you want both of us. We might destroy the event. We might just have the whole thing derails the minute we get there.
That's all right. You guys can do live podcasts straight from the stage.
That'd be pretty cool, man. We figured out a way to work that.
Now, this whole thing has been you plugging all the stuff, but is there anything here at the end that you neglected to mention that you want to throw out there that you want people to know?
Like that, or?
Yeah.
Not specifically. I mean, just make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Jordan_Jitsu. And then Subspectrum is the promotion. So you can check out our website, subspectrumbjj.com. That's going to be pretty much all the information regarding around Bjj Woodstock. There's some merch up there if you guys want to buy some of that. But other than that, just stay tuned. Follow the hashtag Bjj Woodstock. That's what we're using now. So that's a good place to stay tuned if you want all of the announcements regarding the show or events that are going on in August here in Des Moines, Iowa. So.
All right. Well, there you have it. This has been.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
I have checked flights from just about every major U.S. city, and they are all somewhere in the neighborhood of $212 or less at this moment, round trip for that weekend, leaving on Friday, coming back on either Sunday or Monday. So if there's anybody out there that's thinking, dang, it's going to be an expensive flight, it's $212, I think, is the most expensive flight I found from any U.S. major city to Des Moines. There's actually a lot of direct flights, so make sure you check that out before you tell yourself you're not going to go.
Or take this opportunity to go see some undiscovered parts of America. Take a road trip, get your ass to this festival because it's going to be huge. You're going to want to tell your kids you were there when it started.
Jump in a van. It's Woodstock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a very cool and informative episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I've been your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Kevin Gallagher, and the immaculate Jordan Jitsu Peitzman. Mr. Peitzman, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to chronicling this event. And as for you, make sure you're there or be square, or, if other circumstances are keeping you from going, be sure to catch the link on YouTube. But we will be chronicling all the news as it develops. Good night, everybody.